The question whether Tesla will dominate self-driving or other companies will dominate self-driving boils down to cost. I think that's the main problem that any company that wants to play in the self-driving market, particularly in the cybercab market, but also in the, let's call it consumer self-driving market, needs to solve. Because you can deliver a service, and that service has to be convenient, safe, trustworthy, but it has to be low cost. Otherwise, the economics don't work. And that's where Tesla shines, because Tesla designs its products, or recently, maybe in the last 2 years, it's pivoted its strategy towards delivering low cost solutions with very high value. And I would say that's kind of how I would summarize the execution part of the Tesla mission to deliver amazing abundance. So you want to have high value services. For example, anybody who's used a robotaxi can attest to that. It's the best possible transportation experience you can have right now anywhere. I mean, it's, well, maybe with the exception of a very, very high luxury limo driver with drinks and things like that. But other than that, the typical transportation solutions that are offered, and let's say start with public transport and then go to things like taxis and cabs and Ubers and Waymos, and then, at the cybercab, actually robotaxi, not cybercab, it's by far the best experience. And it's the lowest cost experience. So far, it's still more expensive than public transport, but once the cybercab scales up, it will be probably at par, if not cheaper than public transport. And by the way, that's just monetary. That doesn't include, of course, the cost of time and things like safety and other things that you need to take into account when you take public transport. So I think that's the fundamental vector that Tesla is pushing. And it's quite mind-boggling to me that you have still investors betting on something like Waymo. They just closed a round, apparently. I don't have the details, but my partner spoke to me about it, so I'm using secondhand information here. But apparently, Waymo closed the financing round at a valuation of something like $120 billion. And I just don't understand the industrial logic of a system that has, I don't know, between 3 and 5 times higher cost, probably even more. How can this scale? How can this compete at scale on a global basis? And when I say global, I mean this is going to go global, because once we scale full self-driving across the United States, it will go global. Now, of course, there are risks, for example, accidents, adversary events, political, regulatory problems. So those are things that could help Waymo in the long run. For example, if the Democrats win the presidency, it's possible that they can gain market share through regulatory capture, which has been the strategy so far. So those are problems that, of course, could come, but we said that several times. We here at Orange Capital Partners, we don't look at the world like that. Not because we don't take it seriously. It's just that we don't have the expertise in analyzing things like regulatory risk or predatory capitalism or things like that. So we look at the world as a kind of idealized. You deliver the lowest cost, highest value product with the most scalable industrial solution, and you will win. That's kind of how we look at the world, and mostly that's also the kinds of solution that win. If you look at the largest cap companies today, the largest, most important technology companies in the world all have won because they delivered that kind of solution. I always paraphrase Jeff Bezos's early shareholder letters when he wrote that it's hard to predict the future, so why don't we just try to stick with what's most likely not going to change? For example, He said people will always want lower prices, higher selection, and faster delivery times. And as far as the company is concerned, as an investor, you should always want more growth and cash flows. As long as growth, sales, and cash flow grow in some sort of reasonable relationship, I think as an investor you'll be fine. And I think that's kind of how we look at the Tesla investment here. So I just finished the presentation by Ashok, the head of AI at Tesla, and it's very clear. I mean, if you listen to the way they work, 20-minute presentation, clear, and also straightforward. Like, we want to deliver a low-cost, high-value solution. That doesn't just imply AI, of course. The AI part is important, but it's also the car itself, the feeling of the car, the design. It's not just the AI. People don't buy artificial intelligence, they buy solutions. They want to go from a place A to B. They want to feel good about going there. They want to have a good experience. The app, the experience in the car, and of course the cost. And the cost is not just producing the car, but also maintaining the car. The things shouldn't break. The panels shouldn't, look ugly after 2 days of operation. I mean, there's a lot of things that the Tesla design team and the Tesla manufacturing and engineering team have to think about when they produce the Cybercab. They did it with the Model Y, which is the robotaxi right now, which is already low cost. The Cybercab is going to be another probably 50% lower cost. So we're looking at, from a cost perspective, cost per mile maybe in the 20 to 30 cents range. And once you're at that level, you can deliver even at $1 per mile, which is much lower than pretty much anybody else. You're still incredibly profitable, and that's goes back to the point I just made when I mentioned Bezos's early shareholder letters. So you have a low cost, high value, high trust solution that generates growth and cash flows. So to summarize, it's worth reiterating the point of the Tesla investment. The point of the Tesla investment is low cost, high value, high trust solution to a problem, which is transport, which has near infinite demand. It's one of those products. It's not like intelligence, so it's not really infinite. I think intelligence has infinite demand, and I'm going to explain in a second why intelligence is infinite demand. Transport per se doesn't have infinite demand, but it has that feel. Let me explain why intelligence is infinite demand. Intelligence is infinite demand because with intelligence you can create new knowledge, which creates new problems, and then you can apply new intelligence to these new problems, and therefore it is literally infinite, because you can constantly reproduce. You can constantly produce new problems, solve them, and generate new intelligence to solve those problems, and keep going. And it's an infinite loop of creating problems, solving problems. That's the Popperian view of epistemology, and I think intelligence is tightly related to epistemology, and therefore we believe intelligence has infinite demand. That's also, and this is for another episode, but this is why we believe that SpaceX, X, and Tesla eventually will become one company and solve a massive economic problem that will generate massive economic value and put us in a Kardashev 2 civilization. And we have a monetizable beachhead, which is intelligence, to do that. Now back to transportation. Is transportation an infinite demand solution? Probably not like intelligence, but it has the same feel, right? Once you can go from A to B at much lower cost, you will go from A to B more rapidly and more frequently. And once you do that, you will create new demand for transport, and you will therefore, ask for more transport, and the more you ask for it, the lower the cost will be, and then you will ask for more uh, you're gonna go maybe once a day shopping, and if your cost of transport goes down by 5x, you might go twice a day. And if you go twice a day, then the shopper maybe can also refill their inventory twice or three times a day because people shop more frequently. So that kind of like transportation has a clear. Again, it doesn't have that feel like intelligence. It's not infinite, but it's near infinite, and definitely there's plenty of opportunity to serve transportation through cybercabs in the millions, and then it's hard to predict how far this can go. But again, I think there's plenty of demand for that.